a ceremonial changing of the calendar?
I just realised that I haven't. Well, we'll talk about it in a minute, can't we?
Well, we're live.
Oh, okay.
We're doing this whole.
Let's talk about it now then. Yes, you have. I just realised that I'd still got Macca, bless him. Not that he's died or anything, but I've still got Macca on the on the wall, and now I've got Macca tea. So I was speaking to Christine, and they've tried to sort the calendar out this year after complaints from the likes of me that by the time you got to October, it was bloody good luck if you got 3 players that were still at the club, and so the people that have got longer contracts are now at the end of the calendar.
Actually, that's intelligent thinking.
There is your breaking news. So, Paul Hurst's December, I believe.
Harry's December.
Oh, it was a joke. Oh, bloody hell. He's back.
Right. Bruce, if you're telling jokes, can you just give us a heads up first, please?
Happy New Year. Sorry?
If you're telling jokes, can you let us know?
That's not funny.
We'll just need to be prepared for them.
Hang on, I'll try and put a joke warning at the bottom for when Bruce does them. And then we can go.
All right.
Can you get a new jingle, Alex?
Right.
No, we can't get a new jingle.
I'm sorry I was late for the pod. I was going through all the WhatsApp chat to try and find the link, and it was quite a long way up today because of people wanting to make sure that Crawley lad was all right.
Oh my God, that poor.
Have you messaged him, Alex? Is he all right?
I haven't. No, I haven't. But I will check on him because that lad was not in the best of health before all of this. I mean, even John Fenty's looking at these statements coming out, going, "Hang on, lads, take a breath." you can get loads of weeks of content out of this if you string them out.
And they threw away a 2-goal lead with 10 minutes to go when they don't win
away from
home or anywhere, to be fair.
Both managers got sent off as well before final whistle.
That's always a good sign.
It is.
Is he over from America into the dugout and now he's sent off?
He's basically he's the most available. No, it's Byfield, the interim or the caretaker who's got sent off. So basically, Preston Johnson is the next man at the helm to take them into the next game.
I'm kind of hoping Crawley go down because I live this sort of way. Oh my God, he's lag again, brah. I'm slightly worried you put your 2 fingers up when you heard the word then about 10 seconds later. But yeah, it's I kind of hope they go down so them and Dorking can get some sort of Sussex rivalry going and overtake Crystal Palace and Brighton. Okay, well,
I'd rather Hartlepool went. Just we don't have to play him.
Well, it would save them stealing all our strikers. Right, okay. Well, we'll go and actually have a talk about football in a second. Give me 30 seconds and I will... I haven't even got it loaded up. What is this?
Open wide for some soccer!
And now the shipping forecast issued by the Met Office on behalf of the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency at 1130. Go! At 1130.
They've done it! They've done it! It's Maguire Drew! They've done it again, this team!
What a magnificent piece of football! Really, really good goal! You can't let this run for that! Grimsby are heading back to the Football League.
Love it.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back for after the last of the festive period chaos, really. And Ed will be able to take you through some of the stats he's pulled off with the team from the D3, D4 podcast, exactly how well our festive period has gone. But it's got better. And I'm joined by Mike. How are you down in the south of London? Looking resplendent as always.
I'm good, cheers, mate. How are you?
I'm feeling better. Actually, I need to open this door because it's getting hot. And then Sam as well. Sam, still up north, still enjoying whatever is left in the Quality Street tin. I assume toffee pennies and fudge bars.
No Quality Street here, mate. Heroes only. We had that discussion. We had that discussion in depth the other day, didn't we? Yeah, not bad. I'm off back down south in a few days. I'm off to the Burton game on Saturday, and then heading back then after there. I'll be at Swindon as well.
And Bruce, who has now finally changed the calendar over, his office looks it's getting full again. But Bruce, is this all town stuff?
It is, mate. Yeah, but it is quite. If I don't at some point end up downstairs in the porch, which is immediately below this room, then yeah, it's going to be a surprise because the weight of this room, and that's not with me included. The bookshelf needs an extra shelf because I got some extra town books for Christmas. I got Lenny Lawrence's autobiography and even a biography about Kenny Swain. So 2 extra books, some extra programs, and don't tell the missus, but I've got quite a lot of eBay bids ongoing at the moment. All good, mate. Thank you. Yeah, but the calendar's been sorted.
Here's the question though for everybody that I never asked: whose family rather haphazardly and fumblingly got them the Ian Holloway autobiography for Christmas? I would love to know if anybody got it in the chat who's listening, because I think we took some pictures of it. It was not a coherent piece, as you could well imagine. Bruce is looking for it. Bruce, are you looking for that? Are you looking for the?
No, I haven't got the Ian Holloway.
Wow.
Looking for
Laurie McMenemy, Kevin Drinkle, Graham Taylor, Alan Buckley, all the regulars.
No, Bill Shankly,
Chrissy Hargreaves' Caravan. Well, the only one that I've got, the only book that I've bought until just recently with the Kenny Swain one, that's not I don't really get biographies. Normally, it's autobiographies. And the Shankly, I'm not sure if the Shankly one's got mentioned, whether he actually did one before he died or not, a proper one.
He cannot, Andrew.
I didn't get the book, but my auntie bought me this book years ago, which just after I got this for Christmas, the winter we signed him, with a load of perlers in there. If anybody wants to read, I can lend it out to you.
For nothing.
It's the Ian,
for
those who
long-term rent.
Long-term rent, a penny a week. It's for those who aren't watching, it's the funniest Ian Holloway book quotes. It's an absolute belter. There you go. Neat.
If we don't expect to be inundated with requests. But I'll tell you the other one that today, Bruce, wasn't a momentous day, wasn't it? Wasn't it the anniversary of Bill Shankly getting heave-hoed out of Blundell Park?
He actually left of his own accord, and I've been doing a little bit of digging into the Shankly, and I'm not me and my expert historians are not convinced. I don't include myself in that. We're not convinced by the date because he actually resigned, but they didn't accept his resignation, the board, and he agreed to stay on until basically until he found work elsewhere. And it didn't take him long before Burton got involved. But we've got a 5-5 FA Cup draw with Fulham next week, or the anniversary of, and we're just trying to decide whether he was still in charge for that thriller or not. But so if Saturday with Burton's anything like on this day in next that week in 1954, then we're in for a cracker on Saturday.
I can't put up with that. No.
Oh, come on. You'd take 5 goals. You probably expect to concede 5, but you'd take 5.
I'd rather be 5-0 down and come back to 5-5. Yeah, I'd rather have that if that's the option.
But the problem is, Ed, you're looking at, experienced hands at that sort of stuff. You will be shaking like this. Like, this is just a normal knockout game. And I'm very rude not to have introduced Ed Walker, one of the stars of the D3, D4 podcast, and is here to not only give his expert eye on how our 2022 ended, I guess, but also to preview the Burton game, as he is a strong Burton fan. He's the only one that will talk to anyone at Grimsby Town after how we left it the last time we were there.
Is this still going? It has actually been that long, hasn't it? I suppose it has, hasn't it? I don't really think about it.
We do.
What was it, 2010? I can't remember the year.
Yeah, 2010. My abiding memory was one of our fans pushing over our own goalkeeper, and also another fan running from the home end all the way across the pitch and jumping into the away end and not being stopped. And they were that
sounds like Burton Stewards, to be honest. I believe that.
Well, looking after the videos yesterday, it sounded like the defence. What is happening?
Good question. It's weird. I can't really explain that. It was utterly bizarre what happened yesterday. Going up to Morecambe and losing 5-0. I mean, it's a bit weird because the 2 games prior to that were actually 2 very good wins. One against Lincoln, one against Forest Green as well. And it got them right on the edge of being out of safety. They were actually outside the bottom 4 purely on goals scored. It was that difference between us and Accrington. And then it's just the howler of all howlers up at Morecambe. I really can't explain what happened. It basically, Dino just went with this high line and just persisted with it, even though it clearly wasn't working. And Morecambe were just very happy to just keep playing it over the top over and over again. And it was utterly bizarre what happened there. And I don't know if that's a sign of what's coming or it's just a blip. I've no idea. I hope it's the former.
Well, when Morecambe was so happy to, so sort of experienced at being able to break that offside trap with no help from the linesman.
That 5th goal.
If no one's seen it, go watch it. It's a Trevor Kettle-esque
I don't know who the referee was, but yeah, it's got to be 15 plus yards on offside even. It's a special one.
And we got quite a few of us saying that this is either Sam's saying it's the Ben Fox derby, or it's the Terry Taylor derby, Bryn Morris derby.
Yeah. Bryn was shocking for us, to be fair, so it probably works with Terry Taylor as well.
Anybody else that have passed between the two? I can't even think.
Tom Naylor, didn't he come on loan to us once from Burton?
I don't think he came on loan to you, but it's possible. I don't think I ever loaned him out.
Did he play for you?
He did, yeah. He spent many years with us. He's part of our championship team.
Yeah, I think he came to us on loan and then went to Burton, mate. He definitely played for us, though, didn't he?
Yeah, he scored. Did he score at Forest Green one night? I think he did, didn't he?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, I thought you were following on. I mean, we will get on to the FA Cup game because it's Bruce, you're the expert. When was the last time we were in the 3rd round? Was it Crystal Palace, 2018?
No, in the 4th. Last time we were in the 4th round was 2000.
You're getting ahead of yourself.
23 years ago.
Right.
And there's £105,000. And there's £105,000 for the winner on Saturday. They've really pumped some money into this competition. So get yourselves down to Blundell Park and cheer the boys on because it's well worth 20 quid of your money to get the club 105 grand.
I think there's a bit of history in this then because I think it's 2011 for us last time we were in the 4th round and the only time we've ever been in the 4th round as well. I remember beating Middlesbrough 2-1 when they were a championship side. So I think this is our 6th attempt since to win a 3rd round game again and it's not gone well. So this is quite open, I think, as far as I'm concerned.
Peter Lunn has missed out the main man. Lincolnshire's very own, the son of Scunthorpe, Lincoln, Caister, and Grimsby, and anywhere else he's going to end up. Charles Vernon. Yeah, he's.
You can't have a derby for a player who's played for 14 different clubs by the time he's 25.
More hometowns and not dinners.
If I could be fair, Vernon was only ever with us during COVID, so none of us actually saw him in the flesh. So we kind of forget that happened because he left in the side half of the season. It was
we can claim that with Terry Taylor then.
True.
I didn't see him on the pitch. He's our own Robbie Keane, definitely. Always been a childhood dream to play for Lincoln, Scunthorpe, and Grimsby. Lucky Devil gets to do so. I guess, gentlemen, we should really we never talked about the Salford debacle. Have we all sort of calmed down from that and cheered? I mean, Edward probably doesn't care, but it's has yesterday's victory put it in perspective? Or should we still panic? Was the panic overblown? Ed, you said that you did a bit of work, and over the festive period, those 3 games, we finished where in League 2?
So I've run through the festive record to both League 1 and League 2. That's the 3 games. So your Boxing Day game, your game on the 29th/30th, and your game on New Year's Day or today as well. So for League 2, your record over those 3 games is 18th out of 24 with that single win. So the other teams who got 3 points, Newport, Swindon, and Crewe were the other ones who picked up just a single win. Newport drew all 3 of theirs, so they got 3 points that way.
So it's an interesting one. Bruce, you were there What were your? We didn't even touch on Salford, did we? What was your sort of overriding thought on that and yesterday?
I had done 14 pubs on a Freemo challenge, to be fair. So
there are not 14 pubs still on Freemo.
All right, it started in town. Sorry, Grimsby and Freeman
Okay.
Street Challenge. There were 14 pubs and bars visited. So yeah, it was pretty well acknowledged that I was leathered at the game. My mate said to me yesterday.
It sounds like it was the only way to watch it.
my mate said to me yesterday, it's a real shame that we never gave the fans, apart from about 3 minutes, we never gave the fans something to get going, because he said he's never seen so many people pissed at a football match before. So I think with it being you don't very often over Christmas get an evening game in between Christmas and New Year. And I didn't notice, but he just said that half the lower were leathered, absolutely leathered. and he said that if the team had given them a little bit of encouragement, everything was there for the crowd to get absolutely bouncing. But when you concede inside the first minute and then you equalise and then you give them another goal about 5 minutes later, then there was never a chance for the fans to get going. But it was just individual mistakes, and as a unit, in sort of up until recently, we've been pretty solid at the back. We've talked on here that all right, we've only let in a goal a game or whatever on average, but the problem is we've only scored a goal a game. And that was why we were sitting 12th or 13th or wherever we were at the time. But just recently, the amount of individual errors. And that just epitomised it. Just poor decisions and poor execution of what they were doing. It was just you couldn't really put it beyond that. You wouldn't say it was a bad team performance even. It was just individual mistakes. But we did say, before I waffle on too much, we just said that we seem to always have to work quite hard for our goals. And in the last few weeks, we've been giving teams easy goals. And that seemed a fair summary of Harrogate, Salford, and even, a couple of weeks leading up to that. But yeah, we just gave them stupid goals and they took the chances.
It felt, this is very weird to say, it felt like an England battens collapse. It felt inevitable and just lots of individual mistakes. And no one did anything amazingly wrong, but quite a few, wafts outside off stump carried and went away. It was Paul Hurst's largest defeat as sole town manager in the league. But I feel it's very unfair given their third goal, which came off their player's standing leg as he fell over onto his arse and went in. And I think, I mean, if he tried that,
that's gone down as a perfect hat trick because of that.
Has it really? Because it came off.
That's what they claimed it. They claimed I saw it back at first and thought there's two left footers and a header in here. What are they on about? And then I realised it takes that knock. They claim it goes off his right foot because of that deflection.
You couldn't even if he'd have tried that and it had gone in off his left and curled it in, you go, right, fine, fair enough. But you can't expect it. And I think it's it's a bit unfair. But you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, as Wayne Gretzky, Michael Jordan, or whoever would say. Andrew Tate probably. But yeah, there we go. But how was yesterday? Sam, you were there, weren't you?
I was at both games, yes. I was there on Thursday night. I was there yesterday. Bizarrely enough, I didn't actually think we were that much better yesterday than we were against Salford collectively. It just was devoid of the huge number of errors that Bruce talked about. Waterfall played a lot better yesterday. He was very, very good. Crocombe made a save for the first time in weeks.
Hang on, I'm not having that. You can't besmirch the great man. What a save it was for that. What a save for that.
But it's the first save he's made in weeks. Absolutely weeks. All he's done last 6 weeks something was not make any saves and make an error against Tranmere. So, anyway, for moving on from that.
I want that over the tannoy on Saturday if you make any saves.
He's tried. He's tried for weeks.
It's been as successful as the flag I made the first time.
Well, I think it was the most important win of the season because I think if we'd lost yesterday, the heat would have really got on to Hursty from certain sections of the sport. It's ridiculous the heat was on him in the first place, but that there would be more and more people would start angsting for it. I was quite happy for Mishi yesterday. As you know, I'm a big supporter of Mishi. Not a view shared by all, I understand. But I thought he defended his side of the goal really well. His side of the goal really well.
Bruce looks unmoved there.
Yeah,
I've
have I said something to upset Bruce? He's sitting there with his arms folded, almost kind of like primed. He's like, he should might as well be making notes on what I'm saying.
No, he's watching the youngster. He's taking notes on the youngster so he can feed back.
What else was there about the game yesterday? But we were a lot more solid. We defended the goal. Apart from that save by Crocombe, Stockport haven't had many chances. And I saw one tweet saying we need to get promoted to play these anymore. So it's quite nice for us to be like to Stockport what Crewe and Salford and Hartlepool are to us. Someone who guaranteed 6 points off us.
We haven't lost to Stockport in the league since 2012.
We haven't played them from 2012 to 2021.
I mean, don't say that, Sam. That's not our fault. We're there. They weren't.
It's like saying we're unbeaten against you for what 12 years, however many years it is.
And by God, you should wear that proudly on your sleeves.
We will while we can. We will.
No, you'll win next week. Oh, sorry. I'll try and stay positive briefly. I'll be in trouble for negativity again.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. Our WhatsApp group is secretive to a point, but you went to bat for Miche. I thought he was dreadful against Salford and was at fault for a couple of the goals at the least. But you went to bat for him.
It's written on more public records than our WhatsApp group. My big defence of Miche. I feel like I spend my life defending him.
I've seen it written in the box, mate.
I mean, if Miche would start defending, that'd be great. Sorry, that was an easy one. It was a layup. Sorry.
Low blow there, but no. Yes. I don't know. I almost feel like there's an agenda against Michi, so I kind of overcorrect it a little bit. I've thought to myself that I see what I want to see.
Back.
Well, his legs have gone, mate. No way he's getting up and down that line anymore.
He's only
like
62.
He used to.
He'll be fine.
I reckon he'd put in a better cross.
I mean, that is true.
Have we forgotten the Otis's goal at Harrogate? That was a great ball in. There was a ball on Thursday night when it was 1-1 that sort of went just over McAtee's head. So Mishi's delivery is not up for debate in my view.
It's Hermes-esque.
It's not Hermes-esque at all. It's much better than people give him credit for. This is the thing. That's just wrong. I'm sorry to disagree so profoundly, Bruce, but it's wrong that his delivery is poor. He's a bit skittish on the ball. He don't always look comfortable with the ball at his feet. I'll grant you that. But he gets up and down the line. He's very athletic, and he gets a hugely unjustified negative publicity.
It's a conspiracy. Mike, what were your overriding thoughts on yesterday? And then we'll get Ed to give us the briefing on what to expect on Saturday.
Yeah, I think it was an element of relief, really, especially after the run of form we've been on. It sort of felt yesterday like there were some questions rightly asked and they were answered. I mean, I don't think anybody's saying that's the end of the matter and we can rest on that. But I think we had come in for a lot of criticism, especially our back four, and I felt they sort of answered that. It sort of reminded me actually of the Halifax game, which we spoke about a few days ago from last season, when we was on the end of that terrible run in the conference. And although we didn't win that game against Halifax at home, we put in a similar sort of good performance and sort of that broke up that run and we moved on quite well from that. So, I mean, you could see what it meant to Waterfall, Crocombe and the rest of them to get that clean sheet. And, you've just got to be a little bit proud of them that, they've come in for a lot of criticism. They've sort of answered that. Looking at the game, I know a lot of people before the game were criticising, wasn't they, thinking it was 5 at the back. I was actually quite pleased it looked more of a 3-4-3 with the fullbacks pushed quite high up, which I think worked for us, especially moving up the pitch. So I think that helped us out quite a lot. Sometimes it's overlooked in football. And I think this is where we've been going wrong recently. It's overlooked that if you do the simple things right, you're in a much better place. If you run hard, you win tackles, you stop crosses, you get to the first and second balls. And that's what we seemed to do yesterday a lot better. So relief that we've finally managed to get a result against a good Stockport side. And hopefully a nice little 14-day break or so from the league now lets us get some reinforcements in. Everybody take a breath, have a game in the FA Cup and come back against Swindon in 2 weeks.
Ed, I know it's very rude of me to suggest you pay even a close attention to Town, but what's your general thoughts been of the return to the Football League? And I know you were very complimentary on the Patreon version of the show where you went through sort of what we were up to, but I guess that might have changed your opinion a little bit of late, or was this expected?
I don't know where to assess Grimsby. It's a bit weird. Coming into the season, my thoughts were, as a newly promoted side, stay up. And that's job done. Anything you do on top of that is a bonus. I thought they were in this really nice position where you only had to survive. So being now where you were would be great. And you could build on that. And then you started quite strong and you actually looked at the team and you thought, could they? Because there's actually quite a nice little group here that's been added to rather than really lost a lot. But then recently, it just seems to have tailed off a bit and you feel a bit away from the chasing pack, which admittedly is quite a big chasing pack. It probably goes just down into the bottom half at the moment in sort of 13th, 14th. You look at Stockport and Wimbledon as well. So there's a bit of work still to catch up on that. So I don't know. I feel like your frustrations are maybe more with individual matches than the entire season would be my perspective on it.
Yeah, I think you're about right. And I think that the sensible consensus is anything higher than 40, that's would be the club's highest finish since 2006.
Wow.
Which says a lot. So anything higher than 40th to me is that's golden. So but it feels very much at the moment like it is sort of mirroring last season. Hey, if it finishes the same, that's amazing. I don't think I'd be able to cope, but that we had the same thing, started quite strongly, not as strongly, but then we've tailed off in this middle part. Gives him an opportunity to maybe weed out the weaker ones and bring other people in. I think we are guilty at the moment of, and we didn't have as much of a pre-season as every other team did because we were the last ones to be
too busy partying. And I would party after what I saw.
Yeah, that's true.
I was at the Notts County in the final, by the way. Absolutely loved every second of that. Incredible.
Well, you probably loved it more than we did until the final whistle.
I suppose, yeah.
Glad somebody liked it.
But,
still getting twinges in the chest.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Apple Watch is going off, saying your heartbeat is over 150 beats per minute. But it's I think we're a bit guilty of bringing in 6-month players. So when does Kiernan go back, Bruce? When's he meant to? Is it the end of this month or is it? Sam might know.
It was the 20-somethings, wasn't it? I think it was around the 20th, 21st, something like that.
Because we're losing him. We lose what? We don't lose Richardson, but we lose Simmons.
I think Peppel's going, isn't he?
Nah, Peppel's the season, mate.
Oh, marvellous.
For any Luton fans listening,
you don't have to play him. If you got him on loan, I bet we're not paying any of his wages. So,
but that's a loan slot wasted, really, isn't it?
Yeah, but if you don't put him in
the main stand, then
what? Put him on the kiosk.
Actually, there were some complaints about the food in the upper entrance yesterday. Somebody was moaning. Maybe you can flip a burger.
Oh, how dare! Well, I didn't know the upper fingers was getting our fabled food, scran or whatever, footy scran or whatever, saying that it's not loved.
No, that's in the low. That's in the lower now. The slipway, the one from Park or Society or whatever that do the fan zone. They're also generally at the end of the lower. But what people are, so I heard somebody moaning yesterday about the offering. I think I stand corrected if I'm wrong, but I think they were talking about the ones that were in the turnstiles. As you go into the Findus, into the upper.
Yeah.
But anyway, somebody was saying they paid £6.50 for a hot dog, but I went to that place yesterday with Maisie because she was hungry at half time, and I got her a £3 hot dog. So maybe they just thought that whoever it was complaining and looked like they got plenty of money. Maybe it's pay what you fancy.
Sam, the man who's let's face it, his knowledge is going to start waning soon as time passes. But he's saying that he thinks it's the 21st, 6 months loans. He's signed to the 21st of July. So expect him to leave on January the 21st. So we might get another couple of games out of him. But it'd be sad to see him go.
Do you think, just making me think, do you think sometimes we're a little bit harsh on loan players? I'm just thinking about Peppel.
Yeah.
I can't really remember him playing more than a 20, 15 minute worth of football, really. And I think that's, you bring somebody on loan and then after 15 minutes, you expect him to be tearing up trees when he's 19, 20? I think sometimes...
And moved in Canada very recently as well, should add.
Yeah, I think sometimes just generally with football, and especially, from the loan players we've had, sometimes they need a bit of game time. And you look at Orsi from the game against Salford, that's the first sort of 90 minutes he's had all season. And people are saying he's not up to it because he's not scored a hat-trick or something. I think sometimes we just need to let players have a few games to settle in, especially if they're attacking players.
Bruce has a question.
I think that's probably because if you make a new signing and it takes him, and he's here for 2 years, it probably takes him a little bit of time to bed in. If you've got somebody that's just here for a month, or you've got somebody that's here for 3 months, then naturally, as a fan, you're going to expect the manager to have brought that player in to improve the team. And if they don't do it
immediately,
then I can. That's probably why they don't, in my opinion, why they probably don't get the slack that you might give to a new signing, because you might say, go right, give him a few months and then he'll be all right next year or whatever. But with a loan signing, how often have we turned around in the last few years and sort of, you wouldn't be able to remember loan signings that we've made because they had no impact at all. And it's like, what's the point bringing them in then?
Yeah, but if you've had three or four starts, you've played most of the game, fair enough. But I mean, when you're coming on as a sub when you're losing a game, don't forget he's got 2 assists. He got that assist at Walsall, didn't he? For Clifton for the winner, and he played about 10 minutes, and I think he got an assist at Rochdale. So if you're playing a guy for 10, 15 minutes, I mean, what do you expect?
Didn't somebody, when we was having a discussion on the other day, didn't somebody in our WhatsApp group when you were debating with Hannah or with Sam or somebody, didn't somebody give a Fete the assist at Rochdale? We only won 1-0, didn't we? You've just given it to Peppel, and
mate,
somebody
it was
else
that good a goal. That good a goal. There was 3 assists with it.
He wasn't here yet, was he?
Now, what Mike's remembering is that Peppel got the ball, had a shot that created the corner. I think is what Mike's thinking of.
Jesus, that's a tenuous assist.
I mean, I'm happy to start tenuous assists as an actual stat. I call it TA or something, and all the PPG guys will take it up, and the XG guys. Ed, we're really sorry, we're keeping you for that. So, Burton, I watched your tweets with interest because they go from you seem to be quite positive about Burton until kickoff.
I tried to be until kickoff. Yeah, that's probably fair.
And then what are they going through at the moment, and what are expectations? And to me, I think League One for a club the size of Burton, not too dissimilar to ourselves, I guess, is a pretty decent achievement given the size of clubs and stuff. Do fans have a false sense of expectations of where they need to be, or is that unfair to say? Or
well, I think part of the problem is because you go back a few years, we were Championship level, which was a case of being a small fish in a big pond, being there. And I think ever since we come down to League One, that there's been a hope that we could get back there again. But I think what people maybe still need to realise is that we are still one of the smaller boys in this league even now. I mean, what happened to get us that promotion up to the Championship was that a League One season where all the big boys underperformed and the underdogs took advantage. I remember that promotion race was between us and Walsall on the final day of the season to go there. I think you had some other sides who were flirting towards the top end as well. You wouldn't have expected to. It was a real season for underdogs that year that they took advantage of. And they come back down in the state of League One now. There's so many big boys right at the top end. And you look at the top end of League One and see the clubs up there. They're all big names, and you're not surprised they're up there either because they are historically larger than the ones who are up there now. So I think Burton, to record the finishes they've had, even though they feel quite underwhelming compared to what has been our highest ever finish, they're good ones in the grand scheme of things. And this year we're trying to get ourselves out of the bottom floor again like we were 2 years ago.
And how is that going? Obviously, you got Dino, who was he was at Oldham and Stevenage, wasn't he? And so, how did that come about? Because was that not to do with a relationship with, was it Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank at the time, or did he come in as an assistant?
Yeah, so Dino came in with Hasselbank New Year's Day 2021. It would have been almost 2 years to the day. with Burton originally, I think 5 points adrift at the bottom of League One, having played just under half the season, and they turned the game on its head with a magnificent turnaround who ended up in 16th. The following season after that went very flat. It was a sign of what was coming, really. 2022 has been a horrific year for us. Really poor performances. I think we're in probably the bottom third of all the clubs in the 92 with our overall record as well, shipping a lot of goals. I think only Reading conceded more goals than us actually in 2022 as well. So it kind of carried into this season as well. And the first 7 games was 1 point collected from 7. Jimmy Thulasbank resigned. Dina was always the likely man to take in the manager role as the assistant, so he's promoted up. And he's used to doing this because he did this with Oldham, he did this with Stevenage, he did this with Northwich Victoria and Southport as well in the non-league. He inherits clubs that are down the bottom of the table and he manages to get them out of it. It's what he's able to do. And so far, he's doing all right. He's averaging more than a point per game, which you would probably say has at least got them back into the mix. Like I say, we're only 1 goal difference out from being outside the bottom floor right now, so he has improved things. But you look at the immediate future and there's a 5-0 defeat to Morecambe sticking out like a sore thumb. So that's why people, I think, right now are a little bit unsure. And if you come to me a week ago, I probably would have been feeling a bit more positive than I am at the moment.
And that's changed a little bit. So no one's conceded more goals than you this season in League 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. And I might assume that might be the Championship as well. So is defence an actual issue, or is it just these odd games where it's 5 goals conceded, 6 goals conceded? You've got a mare in you, or is it being consistently high goals conceded?
It's difficult to say. I don't think clean sheets has been that common. It's normally been the case where we normally don't ship that many. 5 goals games don't normally happen. It's normally like maybe 1 or 2. I think there's been a handful of clean sheets in the time. What hasn't helped us is that just recently we've lost Sam Hughes, who was bought from Leicester this time last year. He's our standout defender. Always exceptional positioning, aerially dominant, and he's now out for 3 months with an injury. And the Morecambe game was the perfect example of what he brings, because that doesn't happen if he's in there. So we need to replace that in January, and I don't know who there is out there that replaces that, because he is brilliant. He's our equivalent of Andy Smith, is the way I can compare him to you guys. He's fantastic for us.
But in terms of the cups, Burton are doing quite well. You've got, I mean, in the FA Cup, you haven't had a difficult game yet, though you've made it difficult at times, but maybe not against. What was it against Needham? Was 2-0. Chippenham was 6. But then also in the Football Trophy as well. 4-0 wins at against Bradford, beat Sheffield Wednesday away, beat Leicester City, and the only defeat in the cups has been Rochdale. So is that? So all in all, has been a pretty strong when it comes to cups. Is that your out? Is that your?
Taking him seriously, he does want to go far, and definitely. The Rochdale defeat in the League Cup was still with Hasselbank as manager. That was a horror show, because you guys have seen how bad Rochdale have been this season, and I think it was their only win.
I mean, we only scored against them in the 90th minute.
we could have been 3-0 down after half an hour.
Someone didn't even beat them, so take it that way. The Ethel Trophy, yeah.
Interesting. The only side you've lost to in a cup though was in League 2.
Yes. Well, we're out the Ethel Trophy as well, beaten by Accrington as well. That was a really disappointing collapse, actually, because we twice led that game and ended up losing that 4-2 at home as well in the round that's just gone as well. So that was a bit of a shame, because I really wanted to go far in that. We'd never been out in the group stage or the first round prior to that, and you get on a bit of a run, you get a little excited about it, but Accrington advanced in that stage again. And then the FA Cup here, yeah, we've had 2 terrible games. Needham, we're too desperate to try and score a perfect goal. Got the lead, and I think there was too much effort to take an extra touch rather than pull the trigger and have a go goal, and eventually sealed that 2-0 right at the end on the counter. And then the Chippenham win was probably the best performance of the season, which is what you'd expect really against the National League South side. But considering they'd just beaten Lincoln in the previous round, Chippenham, it was really a case of making sure there was no upset again, and it set up this 3rd round game with Grimsby now.
And so if you were signed by Town tomorrow, and Paul has said, right, okay, how do we get at Burton? Where's the weak spot? Where do we go?
At the minute, it's just general attacking.
Just be anywhere in the final third.
That's why I'm really curious about this 5-0 now, because I don't know if Dino's looked at that and said, look, the high line doesn't work, or he's going to try it again. Part of the problem for me that high line didn't work is because outside of Corey and Darby, who's a very athletic defender on loan from Ipswich, in John Braithwaite and Mariappa, you have not got a lot of pace at all. So if someone gets in behind, they're not going to catch up with them. And then Ben Garrett coming out of goal, it gives me cold sweat every time he comes out of his box. I just don't trust him. He's an okay shot stopper. He likes facing a penalty every now and then, but when he comes out of his box, he worries me a lot. And you will have seen it. You've seen the Morecambe goals. He comes out of his box and he has a horror show with it. So it's played like that against Morecambe in the game against Grimsby, and you could have some fun. And that's what I'm quite worried about. I don't know if we're going to carry on with that or if we're going to learn from that or not.
This might be the game for Pepple. Bruce, what were you going to say?
We actually, as you've probably seen, we beat Plymouth 5-1 in the cup, and I thought watching Plymouth, I don't know whether it's different in from the top and to the bottom of League One, but I thought watching Plymouth, they did play probably half the first team and half the reserves, but they gave us a lot more time than we normally get on the ball in League Two, and they also played quite a high line, and we punished them that day. Kiernan was through the middle, and he was particularly effective on that occasion. So if you guys play a high line, we've got some quite willing runners in Clifton, and now with Khan doing quite well, and with McAtee if he plays, and with Kiernan as well, that might take advantage of that. If you give us time on the ball, if we get harried and pressured, then we don't look such a good side. But Plymouth gave us a lot of time that day on the ball, and I think even League Two footballers looked quite good with a lot of time on the ball, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think our thing when we played some of the bigger sides, particularly at home, has been to harry them, to play up high, to get them when they're keeping possession, because we naturally know we're going to have less of the ball, and that's perfectly fine. So I think against these lower sides, particularly away from home, if we get the lead on Saturday, the game is going to slow right down. I'll let you know that now. Dino will be very keen to just slow things down, take time with the set pieces. And the set pieces is where we're most likely to hurt you. That's our big strength at the moment. The corners and the free kicks delivered by Terry Taylor, who, by the way, is one of our star players. I know he wasn't for yourselves, but for us, he's grown massively into a real star and someone we're desperate to keep hold of in this January window as well, with rumours that Championship clubs could come at him as well. He won't go far enough forwards to get a hat trick. He won't, but he'll deliver the balls into out wide from corners that Sam Hughes would normally attack, but obviously he's not available, so it'll probably be Braithwaite instead who attacks it, and Adebayo, our top scorer, will lurk around as well. And then you've got Tom Hamer, our right back, in his long throw, which is not Cropper level, not Tozer level, but we do try to make use of it as best we can, but the results are quite mixed.
Don't worry, Cropper's still injured. He's got a hamstring injury.
Good.
Which, to be perfectly honest, we don't really
Although
need
I've heard
him to
Mayer's
run.
got a throw on him.
Yeah, we didn't know that until yesterday.
Okay. Brilliant.
But
I'll deal with that.
But Cropper, we don't really need him to run. We just play with 10 men and then just bring him, just cart him around the side of the pitch and get him to throw from there. But it is missed, I'll tell you that. Where's you talk about set pieces? Is there any other strengths and individuals we need to be wary of, and what side of the pitches are you strong at?
Well, the main man to look out for is our top scorer, Victor Adebayo, who got picked up from Barnsley in the summer. He'd been at Barnsley for years and never really broke into the first team. Had a couple of loan spells away. I remember he was at Cambridge and Bristol Rovers where he looked all right. And he's come to Burton. And because we had so few strikers, he had to play every game. And Dina was growing him into a really good scorer. I think he's got 13 in all competitions at the moment. He's one of the top scorers in League One right now as well. Another player that we really got to keep hold of. Actually quite good hold-up play for a guy who's not necessarily a particular giant, but he does well at shielding the ball from the man and taking it under control with the man up on his back as well. And a natural striker's instinct as well. Not quite sure about him from the penalty spot. There's a bit 50-50 maybe sometimes whether he hits it well or not, but definitely the man to watch. I'd say him, Terry Taylor, as I mentioned, at the base of midfield, is so integral to us, just the way he's able to dictate the play, his composure on the ball when he receives it under pressure just in front of the back line. He's really important to linking up the play there. And then for a different reason, Tom Hamer's so important as well because of the throwing he has, and generally he's just a really good defensive fullback.
Are you going through?
I've no idea.
Okay.
Third round just there's been a problem in the past. We've been knocked out by League Two sides in the last two times we've got to the third round, I think. Northampton, Port Vale.
We would love
and those
to
are at home as well.
Oh dear. But don't worry, we'll be rewarded with a game against Stockport or something in the fourth round if we were to get through, because the FA Cup hates us, as shown by a draw at home to Burton. And what was it before that? Plymouth, and who else have we had?
Cambridge, wasn't it? The other one.
Cambridge, yeah,
Cambridge,
brilliant.
Yeah.
That
was a great day out. That's the best day out we've had since Stockport.
Well, all right, okay. I thought you meant this year. So we've had some pretty good away games this year. Well, last calendar year. I was trying to think then, but yeah, Ed, thank you so much for joining us and taking your time. I know we've had you we've taken up you. I think this is longer than your normal podcast, so apologies. But where can they get the D3, D4, and when do you release? So everyone
you can find us on all podcast platforms all around. We normally release on Sunday evenings is what we do. So we will run through all the games that take place this Saturday. Probably be a bit more focused this weekend on the league games because there are some League 1 and 2 ones the clubs aren't playing. I think we might mention some of the other cup games. If Burton lose, you won't hear anything about Grimsby, so don't bother with that if that doesn't happen there. What plan is to record tomorrow night. We're going to run through the festive period for League 1 and League 2. So that's the Boxing Day games, the Thursday evening games, and the New Year's Day games as well. We're going to look at the teams that have had the best festive record in the division and the teams that have the worst. And don't worry, Grimsby don't feature in the worst. See it line. We're going to talk about Crawley Town instead and take up most of the episode doing that because that is a circus and it's very entertaining from an outside perspective to see what's going on.
It has been quite fun to watch that and certain podcasts folding on themselves. As a result, but thank you, Ed. You're more than welcome to hang around and listen to us talk about pitches and stuff. But if not, feel free to.
Talking about pitches, I haven't been to Blundell Park for quite a long time. I went when you played MK Dons in League 2, 18-19 season. I think it would have been. You won 1-0, and I remember that the pitch around your 6-yard box was actually higher than the rest of the pitch.
It's gone.
Has that gone?
Yeah,
that's a shame. Gone. I like that.
I think it's like got a shit pitch now.
I did like that.
Apparently, it used to help with the drainage, which is why they had it, and why the pitch now looks like it does.
Right.
But it once caught out. I can't even remember who the Norwich City goalkeeper was, but they passed it back, a simple pass back to him, and he tried to air kick it because he didn't take the hump into account, and it rolled underneath him. I want to say Marshall, Bruce. Is that about right? It would have been 2002.
Was it Andy Marshall?
Andy Marshall, yeah, I think so.
I'm not sure. When you start talking like that, it just reminds me of Paul Crichton at Forest. So that's the that's the ultimate miss kick. So I can't even think about anything else now.
Well, does Max not get a special mention after his Tranmere goal?
I don't know. Didn't Macca do it when somebody passed it in behind closed doors from the right back in front of the main stand towards him and just absolutely swung and missed it?
And there was the goal against Forest Green.
That was at the Osman, though, wasn't it?
They kicked it from the main stand side.
Yeah,
it was against Carlisle, I think. During and he sort of his standing leg, didn't it, and rolled in.
God,
very
flashbacks now. Thanks.
Yeah. Well,
it's both well for Garrett.
Was it against? Sorry, Was it against you when your keeper kicked it into? I think he was called Chris Jones. His back, and it ricocheted in the one and only league game we played against you at Blundell Park.
I could not tell you.
I will find out for you because I voted it my goal of the season. So, that season.
I think it was. Okay. It might have been them. Or was it Bradford City? I don't know.
No, anyway, it wasn't Bradford because there wasn't that many people in the away end.
You need to pull up Soccer Base, Sam. That's what you need to do for the next couple of minutes. Just pull up Soccer
Base. I'm on it. I'm looking at a lot of losses.
just while I remember, Mike, I've booked the hotel for Valentine's night.
What do you need a hotel for?
I'm not stopping at yours. I don't know how recently the sheets were cleaned.
A lot of draws.
Me and Mike and Alex are going for we're meeting up in Gillingham on Valentine's night, Ed.
Oh, Alex now as well, is it? All right,
Alex felt left out, didn't he, when we didn't invite him?
There's a reason for that. Is that why?
Yeah, we're going to go stand on that away end.
A full programme on Valentine's night.
Legendary Brian Moore stand by the place Gillingham.
Is that what it's called?
That's what it's called, yeah, the Brian Moore stand.
So that temporary stand lasted MK Don's original stadium, Wimbledon's original stadium, AFC Wimbledon's original stadium, and there's got to be others as well.
Glanford Park.
Where it's at Glanford Park. Well, just Scunthorpe United in general.
It's not theirs anymore.
Let's not kick him. It's not. Let's not. Even I'm taking pity on Scunthorpe now.
I'm kicking him. But this is the part of the joke with Sam. You know where it gets really tired and then it comes back round again. That's where we're up to now. It's coming back round again. It's going to become funny again. But I can't find it. I will find the Chris Jones goal.
Scuddy make Crawley look like they look like a decent operation, don't they? I mean, it's just appalling.
I mean,
Yeah. Is it not Burton United?
Burton Albion.
It's Burton
Can't
Albion.
say.
So I clicked on.
Gotta go back to the 1900s to Burton United.
Burton United.
I've been on the wrong. I've been on the wrong thing.
You've been on the wrong.
It was Chris.
What are
It
you
was
looking
Chris
up on the internet,
Jones.
Sam? What websites you
I've
on?
been on soccer. I've been on Soccer Base, and I clicked on Burton Albion rather than Burton United when it gave the list of. When you type it on Soccer Base, and I
It
clicked
was
on the
Burton
wrong
Albion,
one by
though,
accident.
not Burton United.
Burton
Well,
United
but
was an old club
want
that doesn't
Bur-
exist anymore.
we didn't want Burton United. I clicked on Burton United by accident, and
Wipe your screen, Sam. Wipe your screen, mate.
Alex, just mute him for a minute, will you? He's just talking absolute shit.
He's not talking about Conservatives manifestos at the moment, so it's fine.
Lots of arm waving, though, isn't there? Lots of gesticulating.
for those of you listening who can't see, my arms are not waving. This is a pure smear campaign from Bruce over there.
Yeah, next slide, please.
Yeah. Right. Pitch at Blundell Park, Bruce. What is going on? It looks god awful.
Well, we've got maybe it's the new mower. maybe they've been filming Tractor Watch too much, and he's been driving up and down on his tractor too long. I don't know.
Do you think is this an exclusive? The club are prioritising social media content over the pitch and the players' welfare and safety. Is that what we're boiling it down to?
I don't know, but like you say, look, the tractor can do a wheel spin. Look.
do you think we need to bring back Ian Fleming to cut it? I think that's where we've gone wrong. We've got rid of the CEO and he can't cut the grass.
Ollie says Sam's been Googling tractors in Parliament again. That's what it started off with in the whole place, Ollie. That's what the poor bloke
There's a
was
bit of ploughing
watching.
goes on in Parliament, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. But there's such weird places that the pitch is like breaking up. It's breaking up in like just in front of the penalty spot. Is that in the Osmond and only the Osmond end? Is it really affecting the play?
No,
it
was bad. It was bad in our corner. You know, the Osmond lower corner.
Yeah,
where the opposition wall.
What here where it is here, just below you. If you point down now with your left arm, you'll be able to do it. You'll be able to show.
It's much worse at the Osmond end than it is at the.
Just there, just sort of there. Yeah. Oh, I can't turn my arm. Oh, bloody hell!
Oh, this is why Paul Hudson's better.
There, that's it. Yeah. My right arm. Yeah, it's just down there. It's really bad.
You can point with both arms. It doesn't really make much difference.
One goes one way on the camera and the other goes the other way.
What they do the same thing.
My left arm can go left arm.
Alex, just scroll that joke thing for Mike, will you? So people know he was being funny. That's it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think generally,
much like in a Fete Cross, it went right over his head.
I think generally, though, Alex, getting back to the pitch, I think Paul Hurst has mentioned it a few times, hasn't he? It's just it seems to be heavy all over. And I know I think I was chatting to you yesterday about it. I mean, during the 2010s, I remember that pitch being, not the best in the world, but being a hell of a lot better than that. So I don't know what the hell's wrong with it.
Poor old Hursty. He was when he walked around the pitch at the end of the game yesterday. He was waist deep in the centre circle.
He was only 2'4" when he was walking around.
Took him
That's his normal height.
Luckily, the tractor pulled him out.
Is that what it is? They've got the beach. They've got the RNLI on the off the main stand, waiting to pull people out of the deep mud. It catches too many people out near the fitties.
Have we actually talked about the Stockport game properly yet?
No.
Okay.
Surely the point it didn't rain throughout the entire summer when they were relaying it, and then it just rained constantly during the autumn. Hasn't done it any good. That's must have something to do with it.
Yeah, I think
maybe Simon's onto something. It's maybe we've got that excited about having sprinklers. We just leave them on all the time.
Yeah, we're just overwatered. So but look at it. It looks awesome.
Turn them off for the game.
I mean, none of us know anything about this. I'll write into Gardner's question time about it and let you know what they say.
I don't think Gardner's question time is a thing.
Oh, it is Radio 4, mate, on a Sunday.
Do you not?
Gardener's question time.
Yeah, it's something else, isn't it? It's just like gardener's hour, the gardening hour or something, isn't it? It's not like
Well, I
question
mean,
time.
It might have been a couple of years ago. My dad was listening to it, but it's definitely a thing.
It's not like Fiona Bruce is there presenting it with Nigel Farage and what other of the right-wing nut job Sam can pull out. It's
None of
it's
those
Sweller
fallen flowers over
Braverman. But yeah, it's yeah. Daniel says enough. That's fair.
Quite right,
But,
Daniel. Quite right.
Oh, enough of the podcast. Right.
Enough.
Yeah. See you later.
Right, you got 5 minutes to talk about the Stockport game. We won. Dave Challoner wasn't. Dave. People were saying he was moaning. I thought he sounded pretty. He commented on the pitch, but so did Hursty. And it wasn't a massive factor. I don't think. I think both teams were able to play all right on it. We were just pretty dogged. I thought they were quite robust at times. And I asked about the penalty appeal that we had at the start, where Green was pushed over. John Tonda, of course, thought it was a penalty, but nobody else thinks it on the show. Is that right? It looked 2 arms in the back to me. Bruce.
John Moore thought it was a penalty when I went in the bar at half time. On the highlights, he thought it was more of a penalty than I did at the time watching it live. But he was convinced it was a penalty. But we don't really. Our shithousery was a little bit better yesterday. We had a few players going down with injuries in the box, holding their heads at important times. But really, nobody got in the referee's ear for that one. It was just Green sort of, is that a penalty, ref? And then nobody else really bothered about it. But I thought Paul Hurst would have been absolutely delighted yesterday with what he saw. That would have been everything that he asked for and more yesterday. I thought you were talking about players that played better. I thought Waterfall was really good yesterday. I thought Danny Amos was brilliant, and he must be a right character in the dressing room, because he's just looks a real good lad. And he was one of the ones. Andy Smith was overjoyed at the final whistle. I'm not sure how quickly your footage stops, but when they were doing the lap of honour, Smithy was absolutely delighted. So, well, they all were. They I think Sam said, biggest result of the season. It could well be, and it was everything after a 4-1 defeat that Hursty would have asked for. I just thought it was a real solid performance and a real battle. Luke Waterfall ended up on the floor quite a bit, but he missed nothing with his head. They were very physical, as you expect from Stockport, and that was another one for Martin Pringle, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It was nice, and yeah.
One thing I did notice in the game is Max had another moment, didn't he? Clearing a ball, luckily got away with it this time. And what I've sort of thought about recently, just linking back with the pitch, it's always at the Osman end. Are we 100% sure he's confident with the ball coming back over all that bobbly bit? I think that might have something to do with it. He doesn't look like he's putting his foot through it like he trusts the ball, and every mistake he's done has come from that end.
Or or doesn't even trust he can not to hit a bobble and hurt himself as well as that. And his distribution was a lot better yesterday than it had been the previous 2 games. I thought a lot better. So maybe it's that, and maybe there's a bit of confidence thing in it as well.
It must help as well having 5 at the back when things are going wrong, and 3 centre halves there ready to deal with anything. But that save he made was brilliant.
As Mike said, though, it was 3 at the back yesterday. Mishi and Amos bombed right on. They were getting right up high.
Oh yeah, of course. So, but when we're defending, it is 5 at the back. That's why it's such a good thing. Like, it does offer us that.
The good thing. Sorry, Alex.
No. The only thing I was going to say afterwards is Hurst said Khan and Clifton was deliberately played tighter together in the middle of the park to try and pull their fullbacks out of position so that they could get the guys down the flanks a bit better, Amos and Afete. It seemed to work at times as well, so nice one for him.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about the Amos and Afete is when you're on such a poor run and you're playing 5 at the back, I can imagine it can be very tempting just to slot back into a 5 and not trust yourself to get further up the pitch, and we didn't fall into that until the last 10 minutes where we're hanging on. Most of the game, they were brave enough to push up and make it a 4 in midfield, despite the defensive frailties we've been having.
Bruce and Sam.
There was just the only thing that concerned me right at the end when we were defending for our lives yesterday was Khan. He looked like he was sort of hobbling a bit, and at one point he sort of signalled to the bench that he wanted to come off, and that was at the point we did make a substitution, but I think that might have been when McAtee went off. And when
Probably
we were
lost his boot in the mud.
when we were just hanging on, not hanging on, but when we were trying to be solid at the back, Amos got doubled up on a few times, and Khan was sort of not always in the best defensive position to help him out. But I do think that he looks like he could be a real player he's a sort of player that in a good side that's doing well could be a real asset to the team. He looks, he scored a few goals just lately, but he's close control, and he's just got something different that we don't have in the rest of the team. He reminds me a little bit. Reminds me, quick feet, low centre of gravity, and keeps the ball close to his feet. It reminds me a little bit, without playing quite in the same style as for the older fans, of a sort of Dave Gilbert type player. But obviously, to develop that sort of reputation, he's got to do it consistently for a number of seasons rather than just for a few games. But I think he looks a real player that's got something about him.
Yeah, brilliant. What were you going to say, Sam? Sorry.
It was just on the back three thing. It's a sort of technical thing that I've listened to Gary Neville talk about this. That basically what happens is if you play. No, just generally speaking. It was in the context of England.
I thought he was doing a Salford thing.
No, it was in the context of England, actually. The problem with it is, and I think it's as a result of what Bruce was saying about what Mike was saying about how Amos was it Mike or Bruce? I can't remember, got doubled up on. And that will happen because basically what happens is the back five, back three becomes a back five, and they go really narrow, and then you end up with the midfield three. They can't cover the width of the pitch between them, so you end up with the fullbacks just running the game and just kind of switching the play constantly, and then you end up with the winger and the fullback on the wing back. So I like all systems. It has its strengths. It protects the centre halves. It allows the fullbacks to go further forward. But if you're off the ball, it can leave you exposed.
I mean, that's probably the most deep level tactical we've ever got into on the show.
Probably
apart from the time
shite as well, but that's mentioned.
The only time I thought we ever went that tactical was when I said maybe Cropper should throw balls from the other side of the pitch as well, which resulted in the goal against Wrexham. So, it works.
We better another do a cricket podcast about how to measure off stump or take guard or something. That'd be a laugh.
That would be brilliant. That'd be great. I'd be up for that. I thought it was great to be back on winning form. It does help a lot. I mean, there's a lot of chat shit when we lose on social media, and it doesn't help anybody.
That's every single club, Alex. Every single one.
See, this is the thing. I think town fans think they're special, that our fans are moanier than the others. But
what I've realised, being a football fan of a football league club or in a football club, you are either the greatest team in the world or the most depressingly predictable team in the world. There's no in between. And every fan believes their team's one of those. That's what I've found out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I bet you've got those fans as well, Ed, that seem to... They would say they don't, but that seem to enjoy losing more than winning.
Yeah.
And you
especially
only
this season. Oh yeah.
You only hear from them if the team wins. You don't hear a thing on social media.
I can give you the exact guy who's just been like this now. Dead quiet.
We'll swap
dead
notes.
Quiet on Boxing Day. Dead quiet on Thursday for the 2 wins. But that Morecambe loss suddenly hurts him into the first time in a week. He's back. Yeah, he's back.
Do we reckon the fans that said they're never coming again under Paul Hurst are actually going to come back now?
Well, there's no seats.
Did someone actually say that, Mike?
2 people. Yeah, it's bullshit. Isn't it?
Yeah. When was this?
Well, I think it was after Salford.
Okay, fine. Well, I hope they enjoyed beating Wrexham 5-4, Notts County 2-1, and also the player final win, and also the other player final that he won in 2016. But
do you know what is good about getting the win yesterday? It's that now, because we've got 2 weeks off from the league, nobody will have to talk about us. We haven't got 2 weeks of it. Everybody will shut up now and calm down, and we haven't got 2 weeks of that nonsense.
Right, I tell you what, we do have 2 weeks of nonsense with. Transfer windows open. I want specific players you want, and Ed, with his experience, can tell you exactly why it's not happening.
I'll agree. We'll do a swap deal. You have our double-barreled left back, Cameron Borthwick-Jackson. We'll have your double-barreled left back.
You do like Anthony Glennon, don't you?
No.
I love Glennon. I think he's brilliant. I'll do a swap deal. It makes sense. Double barrel to double barrel.
Amos has been picked ahead of him. Apart from Salford, Amos has been picked ahead of him. So...
Send him over.
It's, we want Scott Pollock from Boston, I think is the one that we want, isn't it? That's the guy we'd like. He's doing, maybe just because he's a localish player who's doing all right.
Well, you say that. I saw James was saying this week that he lives in Northampton and he only travels up occasionally.
He was at Northampton prior, yeah.
Yeah, so like it might not be as cut and dry. He's local. I mean, if he lives in Northampton and he gets it's not just a quick move.
Does locality play a big part for you guys with transfers?
Yeah,
it's a huge problem. Every single window, we have the same conversations about players missing out. So basically, you've got to move. You've got to move to Northeast Lincolnshire or live in Sheffield. So say you're Stockport or Salford, then there's loads of clubs you could already be at. Whereas unless you're at Scunthorpe or maybe Lincoln, Tom Hopper would be a good signing as well from Lincoln. Chucking names out there, but it's a huge factor.
I don't think they give them up.
So we have to pay over the odds. I mean, over the odds to get anybody. On the striker thing, though, don't you think 85% of clubs in the 92 have this conversation? We need a striker every single window.
Yeah. And you don't need him either. This 20-goal season striking thing needs to stop because it's just nonsense. You just don't need it.
Well, I mean, these days, your number 10 and your wideman are your most attacking players if you have somebody that holds the ball up.
Exactly.
But obviously, we know Daniel Sturridge the deal there has been done already.
Fabregas not happening anymore. No chance of that coming back again.
Fabregas is going to put them on his head.
So fun.
Fabregas is going to pick him out every week.
I wish that.
No, because Daniel Sturridge will come in and pull his hamstring when he kind of walks onto the pitch or something. He's the most injury-prone player in the history of the world.
Probably still play all right with his hamstring pulled.
And the other name that's being bandied about at the moment is Jake Young at Bradford, but he signed a 3-year deal, so I'm not sure how that's going to work.
He's not played for Bradford though.
Not being in the squad since October.
Not getting the squad. He'd be good. He would be good. Attacking midfield, left wing striker. I don't know.
There's been a falling out there.
They've got a lot of forward options, and I guess he's just down the pecking order with them. Whether that's seen as the right thing by Bradford is a different story. But
Ben, I want Ryan Bennett tomorrow. So yes, please.
Might be interesting to get Ed's opinion on. Somebody mentioned what's his name, Dennison from Sheffield United.
United.
Yeah, I think was he with you guys?
Jebison,
that's the
one.
Yeah,
I'd be surprised he went to League Two.
Yeah, me too.
But
somebody,
he was very good for us in League One last year. Yeah.
But Bruce, you're quite quiet. Anybody at all that you'd like to get involved in on this month of tedious bullshit and made up facts?
I don't pay any attention to other teams at all, mate, if I'm honest.
I don't even pay attention to Paul Hurst because he'll say no one's coming in, and then within 45 minutes he signed 3.
I couldn't tell you who plays for anybody. I've got the goals show on Series Link, but usually it gets deleted straight away when we've lost. I don't even always watch it when we've won, to be honest. But so I couldn't tell you anything about anybody apart from I did hear Harry Kane's grandma lives in Waltham.
Does she really?
No.
Well, I mean, that's why we got Henderson, wasn't it? Didn't he live with his granny? Lived in Caister.
Dean Henderson.
His gran lived in Caister.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the same way we get most of the players that are half decent. Is usually the only reason we got Ben Davis was because his wife is from here, and she went, "I want to be able to afford a 5-bedroom house for 35 quid, so let's move to Cleethorpes."
Why do you think we signed Gav Holohan? Because he used to play at Hull, and he met his wife when he played in Hull. Otherwise, why would Gav and Smudge were doing that? Ask any question before Christmas thing, but that's because they both commute from Hull together. So the location thing does work for us occasionally. It just usually works. Just someone's just mentioned we're not getting Luke Armstrong from Harrogate. He's going to end up playing for Sheffield United or.
I'd like him at Burton, to be honest, Armstrong.
I bet you would.
Do you not think-
Division.
Do you not
Yeah.
think you go to the Championship? I mean, there seems to be. I mean,
Can't
strikers have
remember
always
what
been in.
age he is.
Strikers have always
I
been
think
shot.
Championship's maybe a bit of a jump through. I do like him a lot, but he's not quite hit what he did last season at the moment. But he's undoubtedly a top all-round player to have.
But strikers seems to be an even shorter supply than they've ever been to me. It's like because of the sort of advent of 4-3-3 and false nines and number 10s and so on, that they're just so anyone who's any half good, you're basically having to look 2 leagues below you.
Well, look at Matty Langstaff. Me and Mike talked about him when he was at Darlington last season, and says, "Look, let's get him because he's going to be,
Langstaff, yeah."
Yeah, and then look what he's doing at Notts County. No way you're going to get anywhere near him now.
No.
But not a half decent replacement for Wootton. And
It's like Shimanga at Chesterfield as well. I'm still waiting for that to happen at some point.
But
Someone's got to go through him, surely. He can't stay at Chesterfield.
Well, did he fail a medical?
I think
Yeah,
he
he
was
did.
going to go to Birmingham, I think, and that fell through.
He failed a
Very
medical.
late on was the plan.
I tell you something, there's going to be some nervous people at Chesterfield then, because I assume he's only on a 2-year contract. So they've got to sell him this year.
Cash in.
Yeah. So he's gone now.
I've got a bit of, we're talking about location. I think that's a bit of a fallacy because, we're not too badly located when you think you've got Rotherham, Doncaster, Sheffield, Leeds, Hull all around us. It's not Manchester and it's not London, but it ain't Carlisle, or it ain't Plymouth. There's plenty of big teams and big cities around us. You just got to shop in the right market.
Everywhere has its pros and cons. We spoke to the guys at Wimbledon when we did the previous show with them, and they said, look, the thing we always argue is how can a League Two player afford to live in London? How can they afford to live near us? So they're not coming to us. We've got, this sounds stupid, but we have a daily plane to Amsterdam every day. Oh, is it not stupid to be looking there? It's like, it sounds ridiculous, but you've
Brexit
got an
rules.
opportunity there.
So
Well,
what you're saying, Alex? So what you're saying is, Alex, Cody Gakpo should sign for us and not Liverpool.
You are not allowed to talk about anything to do with EU negotiations or anything, Sam. It's your fault we're in League Two.
I was purely mentioning Cody Gakpo in the context of this. I was not. You went there, not me. I want that stated.
I think Barry Conlon would have commuted from Amsterdam if he could.
he certainly commuted from the
still in
Mile.
Amsterdam, isn't he?
He was a regular in the box in Headingley.
As Sam says, it's okay, but it's when you've got clubs offering a similar wage that are closer to commute, every little helps a player at this league. So you're looking at, that's why I think Bradford is such a hindrance to us in this league, because they essentially go for the same players that we go for.
But same players like Matt Derbyshire, they're not getting out. 36-year-old Matt Derbyshire.
Yeah.
Well, look at the players they've had. They took everybody. Same with Stockport. Stockport have got what? Quigley, Madden, Wootton. They're three. Yeah, they've got 4 players there that would be a number 9 at any team in this league, and that's just doing good.
Sorry, Matt.
I was just saying that's where the difference sometimes can be. Can we offer somebody a 2-year instead of a year? And that was the difference with Pearson, wasn't it, at Wrexham?
3 years. 3 years at Hunt.
Sounds like a similar problem that Carlisle had for a while, actually, with these 1 year over 2 year deals. They could only offer 1 year to people, and so people just didn't want to go up to Cumbria for a year when they could get 2 years somewhere else, then maybe a little bit more.
And at the same time, the
owners have made a big thing of kind of offering minimum 2-year contract to everybody. So, and I think that's a necessity. The example I would use is you say it can be, we are well located, but say you live in Sheffield and you've got Doncaster and us offering you a relatively similar contract. Doncaster win that 99 times out of 100.
Yeah.
But at the same time as well, you look at our most successful period, and I know times change, but Livo commuted down, and Groves commuted. Like these are from Middlesbrough, from McDermott commuted as well for a time. It's not necessarily
was that because though you were the biggest team, the highest performing team at the time though? In the region?
I mean, you still got to drive past Middlesbrough and and Leeds and stuff. But yeah, it would certainly be one of the reasons. But I don't think commuting is as big a problem as some think it is when they go, you need to live in the town, you need to get the vibe. No, you don't. You don't need to.
Most of the Burton players live in Derby. Very few of them actually live in the town. It's close by, I know, but very few of them. Most of them move to Derby area. That's what they do.
Barrow train in Manchester, for example.
Yeah, that's what helps them. Yeah.
And I think even though they're not a great example to use now, Dover used to train in South London.
We were speaking to Josh Gowling
I
a
thought-
while ago, and Hereford do that. They train somewhere quite north.
They took train in Birmingham.
Yeah.
Shrewsbury.
Oh, okay. Know that.
Oh, Shrewsbury, was it?
Yeah, that makes sense to them. Yeah.
Dover train in Lons. That's where they do it, and then they
Get across
just
the channel every day. Yeah.
Get the ferry
Ferry
across. But we had that conversation with the owners and says, look, would you look at having the training ground elsewhere? Because actually, with being a coastal town, we don't have a 360 opportunity for land that we would do normally. But they said, no, we want it to be in the centre of town. We want it to be part of the community because we want it to be used for things other than the first team, because it's going to be where the youth team train. It's going to be where the community, like Grimsby Town Supporters Community Trust, will be working from. So it's bigger than anything else. So we're not going to change our mantra anytime soon. And I think, Grims, if you can get the marketing right, and I think one of the successes we have is with young families and stuff. So look, come live here, make a success of it for 2-3 years. You can live in a house, a 3-bedroom semi-detached for £140,000. You can live like a king, and you've got your opportunities here just as much as anywhere else. And you can live, in Louth, which is beautiful. You don't have to live in, on the East Marsh. And what was Sam said? You've got to consider players' families if they've got young kids and they've got to commute 3 hours a day compared to an hour. It's a difference between. Yeah, it all matters, doesn't it? It all matters, and that's why you don't always get the player you want.
And it's a side of transfers a lot of us just don't think about. We just purely think about the player as well. But
yeah,
it's that
absolutely.
idea of moving across the other end of the country that a lot of people can't do. That they, like you said, is have young families or have families that are constantly on the move.
Yeah, absolutely. And we would like to be the team that, and I think we are doing. Like you look, and players talk. And under the old regime, we treated players like shit, changing contracts in the 11th hour and stuff like that, not offering opportunities. And I think that word gets around players. And then you've also got the opportunity then for that to change. Sean Scannell, Giles Coke, and the like.
What I'd love to know,
well.
Alex, what you do see as the potential of Grimsby Town now, where you actually do believe it could be. I don't know. Timescale's not a question to me. It's what you think the ultimate potential of Grimsby Town is now.
It's based on attendance, isn't it? And I think that's the problem. I think this town can easily support 16,000 average attendance because it has in the past. It's twice the size of Burnley. It's 150,000 people live in Northeast Lincolnshire alone. Never mind 500,000 in the other areas, which are quite rural. Granted. But I don't see why we can't get back there. But it's a struggle. Yeah, I'll go Sam, then Bruce.
There is an issue compared with Burnley, though. Half of Burnley's catchment area isn't in the North Sea. For example.
But that's not taking.
Yeah, but they haven't got a chance about Fish, so
Yeah, and they've also then got Blackburn and Manchester and Bolton and Wigan and Preston
around there.
We don't have that, and so North Lincolnshire is what 150,000 people. North Lincolnshire is about 250. West Lindsay's about 100, and East Lindsay's about 100 as well. So you've got quite a lot to go from.
Just on the trajectory and how I think we can sustain ourselves ultimately in League One at some stage. But given how far behind on infrastructure, the ground, training, alternative revenue streams, just the kind of vibe and the fact we're not an established league club, that's going to take a number of years yet before we're in a position. We might get up there in the meantime before we can sustain ourselves at that level. But I'm more than confident we can sustain ourselves at that level in the medium to long term. There you go. Sorry, Bruce.
Go, Bruce. Go for it. Oh, hang on.
No, sorry about that. No, I was just pulling up the League One table out of interest. I'm with I think the general consensus that I don't see why we couldn't be comfortably mid-table in League One. I mean, the bottom, just very quickly, Forest Green, MK Dons, Morecambe, Burton, Accrington, Cambridge, Cheltenham is the bottom, sort of, with the exception of, well, they've all been in League Two recently. None of them are clubs that are bigger than Grimsby. Then you got Charlton, who are, in my opinion, Shrewsbury, who aren't. Lincoln is about where we should be. Oxford, all right, they've been in the first division, but they're not a huge club. Fleetwood, and then you get bigger. Portsmouth, Bristol Rovers, Exeter, obviously aren't. So I don't see why we couldn't be mid-table in League One with the right sort of wind in our sails. But I think beyond that, obviously, Ed knows better than I do. Plymouth are going well at the minute, but they're a club that, we're in the second division. Then you got Wednesday, Ipswich, Derby, Bolton, Barnsley. But below that, most of the clubs, there's probably 6 or 7 biggish clubs. But beyond that, the rest of them are achievable for Town, I would say.
I would agree, I think, with what everybody said. But I think one thing that's really important, and this is something we didn't do the last time we came up and we had some momentum, is it's really important to get those 9, 10, 11-year-olds that are at that stage where, they might stop supporting Town, they might go and support United. Yeah. Get them involved.
It's a problem for us as well.
And in 10 or 15 years' time, that's where you get your 16,000 attendance, because you've cultivated all these youngsters into supporting Town, into their early adulthood. You need to get them early and keep them, especially when you've got the problems we've got.
It's the big challenge we have as well, because you have the big clubs, but we're in a region where we've got Derby up the road, Nottingham up the road. You've got Stoke-on-Trent in the same county. You've got Birmingham in the other direction. You've got Leicester around as well. Much longer established clubs, and you're trying to get people in Burton-on-Trent interested purely in Burton Albion. And that starts with the younger generation, as you say. It's absolutely right. You've got to get them engaged in it.
And I think the problem we've got loads of that in a minute. The problem we've got though is the Blunder Park's full. It isn't full because season ticket holders aren't turning up, but it's full. It was technically a sellout, wasn't it? Yesterday, Bruce. There was no seats in the Osman left. So you've got no way of getting them in on. We used to talk about being a drug dealer, get them caught, get them addicted at free tickets and the like, and then jack up the price. But it's hard to do when you've got nowhere to do it in the ground anymore, which is a nice problem to have.
Like towers.
Well, it's not a bad idea. It depends how well
on those on your way up.
And I think the owners have talked about it time and again. They're not looking at doing anything with Blundell Park for the time being, which is fair. Like, it's either the sign of a person with far too much money, or usually a madman is usually in charge of a football stadium when they start talking about new stadiums. If it's a venture.
And we're not getting the Fenty Dome then?
We're not getting. Which Fenty Dome are we talking about? 1, 2, or 3?
Any one of the 3 will do. Just one of them.
But anybody who's kind of new stadiums being so concerned about could just get a new stadium, got a new stadium. If we'd have got a new stadium at Greatcoats, have you been to Colchester? Everybody, it would have been like that.
Yeah,
it would have been
Middle
absolutely.
Can I get rid of my Kanoko Stadium hat now? I've been saving that. Is that not a thing?
No, but that's why I think Freeman Street is the historical town centre of town, and that's why it's just a shame that opportunity's come up now and it hasn't come 20 years, 15 years down the line, where you go right. You can put it in there, because I don't think Blundell Park's that central. Bruce has got his hat still. Don't worry, Bruce. It's coming. It's coming.
I've got 2. I've got a signed one, Mike, as well.
Any day now. Who signed it, John?
Ferno.
When did we have this? Was it 2001?
2001 against Burnley. 2003 against Burnley.
Phil Jevons, I think. Phil Jevons. John McDermott. It wasn't me that got it signed. Somebody gave me this, but they were chucking it out and they thought I might like it.
Yeah, you're the only one that would collect.
You get a lot of that, mate, don't you? That's half that
stuff. It's the FA Cup. Do I need to get Harry fixed for Saturday?
Yes, please.
He's got lots of.
I'll keep an eye out for that.
He's a bit deflated these days. He's got lots of holes in him.
Mine's all right.
Yeah,
yours actually had it.
That's because yours is a 2015 rehash.
This is a
1980, 88, 89 original.
It's a trout.
Mine and Alex's look like sharks, and Bruce's looks like a rainbow trout.
Look,
the only one that
it's got St. Peter's thumbprint, so or St. Paul's thumbprint, so it's a haddock.
The only one that looks like a haddock.
Look, I've got Grimsby Town tie.
Okay, look, we're running. Ed wants to go. We're holding him hostage now.
I'm enjoying this memorabilia trip. It's quite nice. It's better than the club shop.
It gets very dull very quick.
I don't think I've got
Grimsby Town bus.
All aboard. Choo choo.
Yeah, the stepmother-in-law bought me that for Christmas because she sort of goes
Surely we should have a Grimsby Town trawler, like a Grimsby Town bedecked trawler, like a ship of some sort, not a bus
On the badge, mate.
with a flag, which
Have
was
you got
more
any-
controversial than it should have been.
Have you got any boxing pictures there, Bruce?
No, I got rid of that one. If you remember, it's got in
I
York
just-
now.
I just needed to know what to buy her for Valentine's Day. Say no more.
I still think we should get that image on a flag. Bruce has been trying to sell that, get rid of this Muhammad Ali picture over Butter Ray Johnson or whatever it was, Butterfly Johnson. Bruce is having a car boot sale. Yeah,
Sonny Liston, wasn't it?
so that's it. Sorry. Why was I thinking Butterfly?
Butterfly Johnson. Are you making up? Is he out of The Simpsons?
Bruce, I've got a tankard you can have that I won in the DMV. Have you not got it, Luke? Right, I'll do it tomorrow. Luke, I'm really sorry. I didn't think.
How long ago was that?
Oh,
Yeah.
I've
ages
still.
ago.
To be fair, I've still got the stuff. I should have sent the prize as well, if I'm honest.
Hang on, we're completely cheating people out of prizes here.
No, this was a guy, a Glasgow Rangers fan, that sent you some money. Apparently, Ian sent me his address in the WhatsApp, and then it got lost, and he's never asked for his Grimsby Town memorabilia.
I'm pretty
We're
sure
going
I sent
we're
it to
going to
him.
have Dom Littlewood round in a minute. Don't get done, get Dom.
Like
Can you
trade
play up front?
descriptions. Give us your money, and we'll give you fuck all in exchange.
Was this raffle run by Alex May?
Alex Green.
Yeah, that's even
Got an old
worse.
shoot as well. Look, Rude Hullet on the front.
You can have
I
that,
think we
Luke.
need to go, don't we?
Yeah.
Oh,
Talk
Cyril
about flags.
Regis, look.
We're
Look,
still
Cyril
on.
Regis on that one.
Oh my God,
Top
Bruce!
match.
Stop holding us hostage. It's a school night.
I'm not even drinking.
Some of us have got work in the morning.
Got 3 more days.
Yeah,
off.
it's,
You
I'm
got 3
going to
oh,
check,
I
Luke.
hate you.
I like the whole. I would like us to hang flags at Blundell Park. Like, if you've got your flags, like, they should be put in. Right. Okay. Thank you all so much for joining us, Ed. Thank you so much for
Pleasure.
going down this. If it is of any use to you whatsoever, enjoy the game on Saturday as best
I
you
will
can.
try to.
I'm
Yeah.
It's just going to be lots of nervous fans around.
Oh,
And get down to
On
Blundell
both
Park.
ends, yeah.
we
Where's the
shall
best
speak
stops for food, lads? Where's the best fish and chips to go? Give me a spot.
Pips Chips.
Steels.
Pips Chips is good.
Steels.
Near the ground.
Pips.
Really good.
Okay.
Steels. If you're going for a sit down,
It's
Steels.
an
and
awkward
Clean
time,
Thoughts.
isn't it? I don't know whether they go before or after. I can't decide.
Mike was
Go
asking the
before.
questions. Yeah,
Go
3
before,
o'clock.
Okay.
3 o'clock
Okay.
in Steels.
Okay.
Take a booking. I don't know if I think he's listening, but he might be able to do it for you. And then
I'll have a look.
that's and then we'll
Don't
be all
start
right.
the which is the best fish and chip shop thing again.
Oh, here we go.
We're
Sorry.
about to go now. Luke.
Sorry.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, now.
Yeah, that's done.
Time to go.
Right. Right. See you all later. Thank you very much. Up the Mariners. See you in a bit.
Open wide for some soccer!
And now the shipping forecast issued by the Met Office on behalf of the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency at 1130. Go! At 1130.
Back of the net! They've done it! They've done it! It's Maguire Drew! They've done it again, this team!
What a magnificent piece of football! Really, really good goal. You can't let this one go down.
Grimsby are heading back to the Football League.
Love it.